The Mongol Empire, once the world's most powerful force, had ruled over China for nearly a century. But by the mid-14th century, this once great empire was falling apart. Inside the walls of the capital, Dadu, chaos reigned, and outside, the people suffered under famine, plague, and oppressive rule. From these ashes, a hero would rise, a man who would bring the Mongol reign to its knees. His name was Zhu Yuanzhang, a humble peasant, monk, soldier, and eventually an emperor. This is the story of how a penniless orphan rallied a nation, outwitted his enemies, and brought about the fall of the Yuan Dynasty, establishing the Ming Dynasty in its place. Join us as we uncover the rise of Zhu Yuanzhang, the Ming conquest of China, and the fall of the Mongol-led Yuan Dynasty. In the early 1300s, China was in the grip of hardship. The Yuan Dynasty, led by the descendants of Genghis Khan, had ruled over China for decades, but their rule was plagued by unrest, corruption, and abuse of power. Heavy taxes and rampant corruption weighed on the peasants, many of whom were left with nothing. The wealthy Mongol rulers lived in splendor, disconnected from the struggles of the people. Among those who felt the pain was a young boy named Zhu Yuanzhang. His family was poor, his childhood filled with hunger, hardship, and loss. At 16, he joined a monastery just to survive, taking on the life of a monk. But even here, life was harsh. One drought after another left his village in ruins, his family dead, and his future uncertain. But as fate would have it, Zhu's time as a monk was about to end. In the year 1352, when he was just 24, the Red Turban Rebellion began. This uprising, led by the peasant class, aimed to overthrow the Mongol rulers. The Red Turbans were driven by a desire for justice and freedom from Mongol oppression, and they were a mix of warriors, farmers, and monks. Zhu joined the rebels, his once quiet life transformed into one of a soldier. His skills in strategy and leadership quickly set him apart. Through countless battles, he climbed the ranks, earning respect and loyalty from those around him. Zhu, once a penniless monk, was now a key figure in the rebellion that would change China forever. Zhu's rise was no accident. He was a careful strategist, skilled in the art of alliances and calculated risks. Slowly, he gathered support, rallying people from every background to his cause. His determination inspired others, and soon he was commanding armies. For years, the Red Turbans waged war across the land, capturing key cities and forcing the Mongols to retreat. Zhu Yuanzhang's forces grew stronger with each victory, and his influence spread throughout the regions of Jiangxi, Hunan, and Anhui. But his ambitions went further. He wanted to take Dadu, the Yuan capital. Zhu's forces were unstoppable. They captured Nanjing, a vital city, and Zhu established it as his headquarters. This victory was a signal to the Yuan dynasty. Their grip on China was slipping. Zhu Yuanzhang had become more than a rebel. He was a true leader, the kind China had been waiting for. In 1368, Zhu Yuanzhang launched a final campaign to capture Dadu. His army was massive, disciplined, and determined. The Yuan forces, led by the last Yuan emperor Toghon Timur, were struggling, weakened by corruption and years of mismanagement. They watched helplessly as Zhu's army advanced on the capital. For days, Zhu's army bombarded Dadu's walls. The Mongol soldiers fought back, but their spirit was broken, their resources depleted. As Zhu's forces grew closer, Toghon Timur faced a choice: surrender or flee. And like so many before him, he chose to abandon the city. The fall of Dadu was swift. Zhu's forces entered the city, claiming it as their own. With the Mongols driven out, Zhu Yuanzhang declared a new era for China, the era of the Ming Dynasty. On January 23, 1368, Zhu Yuanzhang declared himself the Hongwu Emperor. founding the Ming Dynasty. For the first time in over a century, China was under the rule of a native Chinese dynasty. The Mongol-led Yuan Dynasty had fallen, and a new era had begun, one of independence, unity, and cultural revival. The Ming Dynasty would last for nearly 3 centuries, ushering in a period of stability and prosperity. Zhu Yuanzhang, once a starving orphan, had achieved what seemed impossible. He had reclaimed China, driven out the Mongols, and restored pride and identity to the Chinese people. The story of Zhu Yuanzhang is one of resilience, determination, and vision. From a life of poverty and loss, he rose to become one of the greatest leaders in Chinese history. His journey reminds us that true leadership isn't born from privilege. It's born from a willingness to sacrifice, to persevere, and to rise, even when the odds are against you. The Ming Dynasty that Zhu founded would leave an indelible mark on China, solidifying its borders, reviving its culture, and inspiring generations to come. And though the Mongols had once conquered China, they were no match for the strength of a united people led by a determined leader. And so, the tale of Zhu Yuanzhang lives on, a legacy of strength and perseverance, of a nation reclaimed and a people empowered. For more stories of legendary leaders and historic turning points, subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next chapter of history.